Hello and welcome to NDTV. I'm Ankit Tyagi. Rise in Canada, in fact, over the attacks on the temples has now really gone and created a lot of issues between India and Canada relations, which are already facing its all-time low. Now, there has been an attack on a temple in Brampton in Canada, which has left India fuming. Khalistani sympathizers attacked this temple where children and women were also, in fact, attacked. Now, Canada MP has also said that red line has been crossed and Khalistanis are running amok in Canada. Meanwhile, Indian Prime Minister has also condemned these attacks on the temple in Canada, and Prime Minister Modi has said violence will not break India's resolve.
This attack near Hindu Sabha Mandir in Canada, allegedly by Khalistani elements, has sparked outrage back home. Violent groups of men were seen wielding sticks and attacking devotees outside the temple. The mob was also seen carrying flags associated with pro-Khalistani groups. According to the community organization Hindu Canadian Foundation, women and children were also attacked in the violent mob. India condemned what it termed as the act of violence perpetrated by extremists and separatists and called on the Justin Trudeau government to ensure that all places of worship in the country are adequately protected. Earlier, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau condemned the attack, while other parliamentarians in Canada expressed concern over rising violence by Khalistani elements. Canadian police has arrested 3 people so far. Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown condemned the recent attack on a Hindu temple by Khalistani extremists and said that those responsible should be punished to the greatest extent of the law. The attack has come at a time when India-Canada relations have taken a hit after both the governments have hurled allegations against each other, with Canada even naming Indian Home Minister Amit Shah in the killing of Hardeep Nijjar, a Khalistani element killed last year.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has taken to social media to assure the Hindu community that their safety will not be compromised. And though the Canadian police has also arrested 3 people in today's violence, but Mr. Trudeau has long been accused by his adversaries that how he has gone slow against the separatist elements, and also the law has not taken its course when it comes to end this political violence which targets the Indian community members as well as the Indian officials. Now, at a time when the relations between the 2 countries have taken a hit, it will have to be seen that whether Mr. Trudeau walks the talk and puts an end to this entire phenomena of separatist elements targeting Indian community members. With camera person Pawan Singh, Mohammad Ghazali for NDTV.
Meanwhile, the Indian Army has informed that following the consensus reached between India and Chinese side for disengagement and resumption of patrolling in Depsang and Demchok, the Indian Army patrol to one of its patrolling points in Depsang was successfully conducted. This is yet another positive step towards maintaining peace and tranquility on the LAC.
The Depsang Plains, which lie in the north of Ladakh, is one of the 2 areas where there has been a big agreement. Demchok in the south is the other area. While Demchok appeared to have been resolved, it was taking a little bit more time for patrolling to begin in the Depsang Plains. There are a couple of patrolling points which the Indian Army wanted to access, which were denied to us after 2020 when the Galwan incident took place and several soldiers on both sides were killed. But now the Indian Army in a statement says that they've successfully completed a patrol to one of the points in the Depsang Plains. These are called patrol points, and they mark the extent of our territorial claim, or certainly our claim along the line of actual control in Ladakh. India's territorial claim, of course, is all of Aksai Chin, but that's a larger issue. But our claim, as far as the lay of the line of actual control, is what these patrol points lead to. So you've actually managed to get to one of those successfully. There are 3 or 4 over there, these patrolling points, and the Indian Army would want to get to all of them. Now, just remember, marching to these places takes time, and therefore, we hope that this process goes off successfully over a period of time. The fact that it started out quite successfully is a great indicator of a progressive confidence-building move between India and China.
Now, in the Muda controversy, now the heat is once again on the Chief Minister, who is already in dock now. Mysuru Lokayukta Police has issued notices to Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah in connection with the alleged land scam, directing him to appear for questioning at Lokayukta office in Mysuru on November 6th.
That's right. The Karnataka government is already reeling under the Waqf issue and the controversy around it. And now we have the Muda scam once again haunting Chief Minister Siddaramaiah there. And this has been an ongoing issue. Two investigating agencies probing this. One is the Lokayukta and the other is the ED. The ED, in fact, conducted raids just recently, in fact, with the Muda officials' residences that were under the scanner, and the documents also of the Muda that were under the scanner. Now with the Lokayukta, that has already questioned several people involved with this scam, starting with the Muda officials as well as the kin of Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, including his wife Parvati. And this month has definitely started off on a very wrong note for Siddaramaiah, putting the Congress government on the back foot, one with this Muda scam now, and the two with the Waqf issue. All eyes are on Chief Minister Siddaramaiah's interrogation at the Mysuru Lokayukta office on November 6th and the details that will emerge thereafter. Back to you.
Meanwhile, in Andhra Pradesh, Deputy Chief Minister Pavan Kalyan criticized his own government and the police department and the overall law and order situation in the state. He declared peace and security have significantly deteriorated in Andhra Pradesh and accused the Home Minister and cabinet colleague from TDP, Anita, of complete failure at her role. He was talking about the increased incidence of assault on women. He also said we should follow the UP model. Now, is this a sign of strain between the allies in Andhra Pradesh?
Home Minister Anita garu kuda chepta unnanu. Meeru mantri, meeru Home Minister, meeru. Nenu Panchayati Raj Shakha Mantrine, nenu Atvi Shakha Mantrini, Paryavarana Shakha Mantrini. హోం మంత్రి శాఖ మీరు బాధ్యత వహించండి. నేను హోంశాఖ తీసుకున్న పరిస్థితులు వేరుగా ఉంటాయి, గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. మమ్మల్ని విమర్శించే నాయకులకి అందరికీ నేను చెప్తున్నాను ఈ రోజున, ఇలాగే మీరు తీసుకొస్తా ఉండండి. మీరు నిశ్చలంగా ఉండండి, ఏమి చేయకుండా హోం బాధ్యతలు కూడా తీసుకోవాల్సి వస్తుంది, గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి.
The passionate speech by Andhra Pradesh Deputy Chief Minister Mr. Pavan Kalyan is going viral and has attracted a lot of attention for these four reasons, I would think. Because one, he is criticizing the police force and asking what are they afraid of when he's commenting on the law and order situation. Second, he has taken the Home Minister's name and says that she needs to discharge her duties, in a sense suggesting that she is not doing the best that is should be done in that position. The third point is that he's saying that he could ask for the Home Ministry and could very well take up the Home Department under his charge, and he says things are going to be drastically different if he does do that. And the fourth point is he is telling the people that if this kind of a situation continues, they will have to be dealt with the way UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has done. I'm not very sure that's a compliment, because it's rather a backhanded compliment where he is saying that if you do not mend your ways, you will be dealt with the way Yogi Adityanath deals with issues like this, and therefore saying that don't force us to emulate the UP Chief Minister. All this, of course, by critics, it is being looked at as the first signs of perhaps fissure in the alliance, because the Deputy Chief Minister who belongs to Janasena is criticizing a cabinet colleague who belongs to the Telugu Desam. But Senior Minister Mr. Narayana has pointed out that as Deputy Chief Minister, Pavan Kalyan can very well point out was something that is wrong with the cabinet colleagues functioning or with the functioning of the police force, and therefore there is nothing wrong in the comments that have been made by Pavan Kalyan. And the second part of it, of course, Pavan Kalyan is creating that image, that brand image, that he is someone who is taking a moral high stand. He is asking his fellow MLAs that you are not there only for politics or for asking for votes, but for the issues of the people, the concerns of the people. In that sense, building brand Pavan Kalyan.
Meanwhile, ahead of the elections in Maharashtra on November 28th, major political parties are facing the rebellion in their ranks as party candidates, those who have been denied tickets, have defied their leadership and have refused to withdraw their nominations. Now, this is the headache for both the ruling Mahajuti and the opposition bloc Mahavikas Aghadi, as today was the last date for withdrawal of the nominations.
Mahadrama as curtains came down on the nominations withdrawal deadline for the Maharashtra elections. Both the camps worked hard to placate the rebels who had thrown their hat into the ring. The withdrawal day drama started in the morning when Maratha reservation activist Jarangi Patil decided to back off from the elections. He had earlier declared that he will back some independent candidates. A total of 10,900 candidates had filed their papers for 288 seats. Of these, 1,654 were rejected, and 2,797 withdrew their nomination by 5 p.m. on Monday. After a series of meetings with the alliance partners and the candidates, both the sides were able to convince a majority of their rebels to withdraw, including former BJP MP Gopal Shetty. He had filed nomination as an independent from the bastion of the BJP, and it took personal intervention of Deputy CM Devendra Fadnavis and party senior leader Vinod Taude to convince the veteran.
आप मान गए हैं, आप पर्चा भी वापस लेंगे और संजय उपाध्याय के लिए काम भी करेंगे खुलकर।
पार्टी का कार्यकर्ता हूँ तो काम तो करना ही पड़ेगा ना। हाँ,
जिता के लाएंगे फिर से।
हाँ, 100%।
बाहरी वाला जो मुद्दा बात है तो वो खत्म हो गया।
100% खत्म हो गया, और ये मैं अभी नहीं करता तो फिर बाद में मुझे लोग कोसते थे।
The Mahim seat saw a lot of drama. MNS chief Raj Thakkre's son Amit is contesting his maiden election from here. Incumbent MLA from the Shinde Sena, Sada Savarkar, is in the fray, while the other Mahayuti ally BJP has assured support for Amit Thakkre. Sada Savarkar has held his ground and refused to withdraw from his home turf.
आज अगर राज साहब के पास जा रहा हूँ, मैं उनको समझा रहा हूँ, तो उनका मैसेज आता है मिलने के लिए, मिलने के बाद बता सकता हूँ। मेरा लड़का गया है उनके पास, बुलाएंगे तो मैं जाऊँगा।
Kolhapur North constituency had a completely different picture when MVA's official candidate Madhurima Raje withdrew her papers after the rebel Rakesh Ladkar refused to do so. However, after multiple requests and deliberations, several independent rebels refused to withdraw, and now parties are planning action against them.
आणि जर का कोणी आम्ही सांगून मागे घेतलेले नसतील तर मग नाईलाजाने पक्ष त्यांच्यावरती कारवाई करेल. मात्र आमचा पूर्ण प्रयत्न आहे, महाविकास आघाडी म्हणून आम्ही एकत्रितच ही निवडणूक लढवत आहोत. त्याच्याबद्दल काय आता कोणाचंच दुमत नाहीये.
The dust has finally settled down on the withdrawal day, but not the drama. We can see that the drama still exists in several constituencies. Just to give some examples, Nandgaon, Versova, Mahim, and of course North Kolhapur too. While a majority of these parties and alliances have been able to convince a lot of their rebel candidates to come back into the party fold, can they completely ensure the absence of any sort of rebellion moving ahead before the 23rd or before the 26th? Perhaps not. With camera person Mahesh, this is Anuj Rai reporting for NDTV from Mumbai.
An Indian Air Force MiG-29 aircraft crashed in Agra. The pilot managed to eject successfully from the aircraft when this incident took place. Reports indicate the plane caught fire upon impact with the ground. The incident occurred in the Songa village in Agra. The Indian Air Force has put out a statement saying a MiG-29 aircraft of the IAF crashed near Agra during routine training sortie. After encountering a system malfunction, the pilot maneuvered the aircraft to ensure no damage to life or property on ground before ejecting safely. An inquiry has been ordered by the IAF to ascertain the cause of the incident.
आज एयरफोर्स का एक विमान जो है फाइटर प्लेन था, वो लगभग 4:15 बजे हमारे तहसील क्षेत्र के कागारौल थाना क्षेत्र में बहा ग्राम में क्रैश हुआ। तो पायलट ने भी बड़ी सूझबूझ का परिचय देते हुए आबादी से दूर उसको लैंड कराया और अपना स्वयं पैराशूट से सुरक्षित बच निकला। और एयरफोर्स के लोग भी आए हैं, वो लोग टीम में जांच कर रही है, तो जांच के बाद ही सही पता चलेगा किन कारणों से हुआ। प्रथम दृष्टया उनको लग रहा है कोई मैकेनिकल फॉल्ट थी, लेकिन वो जांच के बाद ही सही निष्कर्ष निकल सकता है। कोई कैजुअलिटी नहीं हुई, किसी प्रकार की जनहानि, धनहानि, पशुहानि, किसी प्रकार की कोई हानि नहीं हुई है।
Carcasses of two wild elephants have been recovered in Assam. It's a tragic incident which has now been reported under the West Kamrup Divisional Forest area. Villagers, in fact, had informed the Sigra Range Office about the carcass being found of the wild elephants. Now, after that, Sigra Range Office, the Forest Department officers, in fact, reached the spot to determine the cause of the death. The US presidential election race now enters the last lap with just 1 day to go for both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris to make their last pitch. NDTV is on the ground bringing you 360-degree view of this election. My colleague Gauri Dwivedi caught up with Democrat leader Steny Hoyer. In this exclusive conversation, Mr. Hoyer spoke about the India-US relations and said our relations will grow under the Harris administration. Now, Mr. Hoyer was the second highest ranking Democrat in the House from 2003 to 2023.
This is a very important conversation that we are having at NDTV World with Congressman Steny Hoyer, who is representing Maryland's 5th District in US Congress. Until last year, he was the second highest ranking Democrat in the House of Representatives. So thank you so much for speaking to NDTV.
I'm glad to. Thank you very much.
It's a beautiful day. We're out on a nice day here, but the election doesn't look beautiful at all, does it? It looks fairly ugly with what I seem to gather. Both candidates seem to suggest that if they don't come or they don't win, things may not be the same ever again. How do you read the situation?
Well, I think both candidates are probably right. Now, ever again, those of us on for Mrs. Harris, for Senator Harris, believe that her opponent is not worthy of being president of the United States, either by character or by rhetoric or by experience, frankly. He's had very rough experience as president of the United States, particularly as he closed and refused to leave and follow the democratic process. Many of us think he committed an insurrection and tried to overthrow the processes of a democratic government. We don't think that qualifies him to, again, have that kind of power. But it is apparently, according to the polls, a very close election. So we're on the eve of the election here.
Indeed, yes.
We'll see what happens tomorrow. We have a somewhat different system than many other countries have, in that we have a thing called the Electoral College.
Right.
Mr. Trump did not get the majority of votes when he was elected president.
Yes.
He didn't get the majority of votes when he was defeated in his try for re-election. So we'll see what happens
this time
tomorrow.
around, yeah. What makes you, as someone who's seen American politics for decades, 5 decades, 6 decades, so closely, why do you think the election is so close, especially when your opponent is someone whom you think is not worthy of the office?
Well, I think there's been a lot of misinformation, disinformation. Frankly, from my perspective, we have an economy that the Wall Street Journal, just a couple of days ago, not a Democratic-leaning paper, as you probably know, indicated that whoever is elected president is going to inherit one of the best economies in the world and one of the best economies we've had. 16 million jobs created in 4 years. That's historic.
Yeah.
Huge investment by the private sector, following very substantial investment by the public sector in building our economy, in helping people make sure they have health care, in making sure that Social Security is sound, and making sure that our environment is sustainable for the future. Frankly, the Congress that Joe Biden, President Biden, and Vice President Harris presided over, in effect,
yes.
Was an extraordinarily successful Congress. In juxtaposition to the least effective Congress in which I've served, and I've been in 22 Congresses.
Right.
This past year under Republican leadership. They fired their own leadership, very unstable. Their messaging to the world was not very confident. And so I think that the economy, however, prices have gone up, inflation has been too high, and people are having a tough time, and they attribute that to the Biden administration.
Yeah.
They're wrong. They're wrong because inflation rose all over the world. Why? Because the pandemic hit us, and what happened? Supply production shut down.
Yes.
So supplies were in short, and as soon as the pandemic ended, demand rose.
Yes.
And therefore, with short supply and high demand,
Prices rose up.
prices go up. That's just, those are the way the economy works.
Indeed. But then this is something I ask you, given your decades of experience in politics, that why is there a section who feel that the economic plan of Vice President Kamala Harris in terms of presenting for her presidency doesn't seem to have been absorbed well by the voters, because that's something, and I've heard on multiple occasions of feedback where maybe the economic plan that she presented to voters didn't find the kind of resonance that she would have ideally liked to.
I think in some quarters that's true, in part because it's the Republicans have spent a lot of money demonizing the economy, but the overwhelming number of economists and Nobel Prize winners have stated that Kamala Harris's economic program is vastly better than the one that Mr. Trump offers. And in fact, they believe that the Trump plan will cause greater inflation, greater unemployment.
That's all the time that we have in this edition. News and updates will continue here on NDTV. Stay tuned.